For me, the only difference between writing for voice, writing a song or an extended chamber piece for voice, and writing another piece like an orchestra piece or a string quartet, the only difference for me is the words. My process is almost exactly the same. I still develop the musical materials the same. I still approach the piece with the same interest in and sense of drama or theater or personality or character. The only difference is that when I'm dealing with text, that is the first stop for all of those other elements. The harmonic material, the thematic material, the textures, the dramatic material all comes from the text. Working with text, there's a few extra steps in the compositional process. You're dealing with rhythms and melodic shapes that's suggested by the rhythm and inflection of the words. I approach the voice as an instrument, and the text as just another source of material for that instrument. The text for this piece is from Alcman. Alcman was an ancient Greek poet, 7th century BC, so this predates Sappho. So this is going back quite a ways. It's some of the earliest Greek lyric poetry that we have. The poem references the legend of the Cerel. A Cerel is a male kingfisher, and legend has it that when the male kingfisher would grow old, that the young female kingfishers of the group or the family or the clan or whatever it is that you call kingfishers would band together, and they would carry the old male kingfisher on their wings, since the old kingfisher was too weak to fly. So that's the legend that this bit of poetry is based on. His poetry only survives in fragments, so this is a fragment of a poem, or perhaps a stanza of a poem. So parts of the poem are missing. One of the amazing things about it is that when you translate it into modern English, it sounds very modern and very contemporary. And it's not just because you translate it into the kind of English that we use today, but the way the ideas are expressed feel very contemporary and feel very modern. So that has been a big attraction and a big source of inspiration, not only for this piece, but for other pieces that I've written. It's an anniversary piece, it's a celebration piece. It's things like anniversaries and birthdays, for me, are always, like, I totally fall into the nostalgia pit when it comes to things like when it comes to birthdays and anniversaries. And I've always thought that they were really interesting events because they're simultaneously remembering and imagining. You're both looking back at a body of work or a relationship or both, or you're kind of celebrating a history, but also you're firmly planted in between that history and what comes next. So for me, an anniversary is always this combination of looking back and celebrating, but also looking forward and imagining. It is something that doesn't flourish without cultivation. And new music doesn't prosper without advocates. And like all music, it doesn't survive if it's not performed. What comes to mind is, this notion of Halcyon carrying on their wings, so to speak. And I even wrote this in the program notes to the piece. This notion of celebrating the 15 years that Halcyon has carried 20th century and new music on their wings, so to speak.